Hello and welcome back to my channel. Yes, it is I am alive and mostly well. If you missed my last check-in video, catching you up on the 3 months that I have been gone, you'll know more in depth about what's going on in my life, but I will tell you that the last few months have been completely insane, but I am very excited to be back on track. I'm going to be doing a financial reset for the month. Today is September 30th, so it is the last day of September, and we're gonna go through the disaster the disaster that has become my finances. If you're new here, my name is Leah. I had some very ambitious goals this year to save $25,000 in 2025 on a salary of about $50,000 per year. So it was going to be about half of my income. And I also am doing a no buy year, and I'm really just generally trying to watch my consumerism and all of that. So before I get started on September's finances, I do want to give a super brief overview of what was missed. I try to do these videos monthly, but I haven't done one since, I think I haven't done one since May. And there's lots of reasons for that, mostly being I just was not doing well. I had a lot of health issues this summer. And up until recently, really, I'm just still getting over an upper respiratory infection right now. It's been a ride, but we'll get into that a little bit more when you see what's happening financially with all of the medical bills and things like that that have come from that. But also we were moving in the month of July, so we had a bunch going on with that. And I did go on vacation in June, and then I had a couple other things that I did in July, August, and in September. So it's been not what I was expecting. A lot of expenses that I did not plan appropriately for, and some very aggressive use of my emergency fund, which I have to stress, if you do not have an emergency fund, please let this be your sign. Prioritize having an emergency fund. I am so unbelievably grateful for to my past self for making sure that I had an emergency fund stocked and ready. It's one of those things you never think you're going to use until you do. Like I said, I have had a lot of health issues the past couple months, and I was actually out of work for a few months there, and I would have not been able to do that if it hadn't been for my emergency fund. So that's really the theme of today. Make sure you have an emergency fund when you need to use it. It made an already pretty stressful situation that much less stressful because I didn't have to worry about the finances of it. And I'm really grateful for that. But that being said, still some financial challenges and things that I need to be very conscious of for the rest of the year. I am trying to still hit my goal of 25,000. At this point, I genuinely think it's impossible, especially because I now have to completely restock my emergency fund that I basically drained. At least I am on the road to healing, and I am praying that I continue to go in that direction. And this will be the last of my medical bills that I'll have to worry about. But anyway, welcome to America. All right, so I am gonna get started now, specifically talking about September, and we're gonna go ahead and do our walkthrough of how everything looked. And it's pretty depressing, but you know, you're along for the whole ride, and this is the reality of it. And it was very important to me, and it will always be important to me to remain transparent, because this is the reality of life. This is the reality of most people's finances. I know a lot of the things that we see online on social media, it's all of these people that seem to have everything, and they're like 22 years old. Like, what do you mean you have a mansion and all these cars and all these amazing things that like we think we're supposed to have? But first of all, that's a consumerism trap, which is like a whole other separate issue. But I want to remind you that normal people look like me. It looks like having an unexpected expense, like a medical bill, be relatively detrimental. Again, I feel grateful that I'm in a place that I was able to like have somewhat of a safety net. A lot of people are not even that lucky to be able to have that. So, you know, I'm counting my blessings for what they are for sure, but I just wanted to remind you that if things aren't going to plan, that's okay. You will bounce back. And also, as long as you're trying and as long as you're moving in the right direction, like, it's okay if you don't hit your exact goal, as long as you're doing all of the things on the journey that are going to eventually get you there. Okay. So anyway, prefacing that, now we're actually going to get into it. Income has been tricky because I was not working at all in my full-time job. And I was still struggling on and off health-wise, even in September. And so I tried to pick up a few shifts because the bar that I work at has been like really desperate for people. We had a bunch of people quit. And so it's been like kind of a disaster there recently as well, in that regard. And so I did pick up a few shifts, which I, health-wise, would have loved to have not done. Money-wise, I'm grateful that I was able to pick those up because I did make almost $600, so $591.97. And that is with paychecks and with tips for, I think I worked 3 shifts in September. So pretty good for what it was. And at this point, like, beggars can't be choosers. I need any amount of income. And so super grateful for that. I also did trivia this month again, which was $50. I did 2 trivia sessions, and they both only lasted like half the time. So I normally get $50 per session, but this was 2 sessions that were shorter. So $50 total. I made $60 in interest. So this is interest from both of my high yield savings accounts. Remember, if you're starting that emergency fund, make sure it is in a high yield savings account. You're going to get anywhere. I think right now mine's getting about 3.5% interest. And that is astronomically higher than the one that you would just get like regularly at your bank. A lot of times the ones that are offered there are giving you literally 0% interest. So please put yourself in a high yield savings account for your emergency fund. Content creation, I did get paid by both YouTube and TikTok this month, which totaled to $135.46. And I made $167 in other/gift, which most of those were gifts for my birthday, which was this month. So in total, I only took home about $1,000, which if you pop on over to the month at a glance, you will see that my total spent for the month was $3,595. So the math ain't mathin', you know? Not great. I am very excited to be back at my full-time job that will be in the entirety of October. So I will be getting back to my normal income there. And I'm also planning on trying to take up a few bartending shifts here and there, and hopefully some trivia or something, basically anything I can do at this point to try to get some more income rolling in. I have been down bad the past couple months. So, okay, so let's get into the specifics of this though, because you're probably like, what the heck is going on? So housing, I've been trying to adjust. My boyfriend and I live together, and we have kind of split bills a little bit differently this time. And so instead of splitting everything 50-50, we've just each been like taken a responsibility over a couple different bills. So we do split rent in half, but things like electric and the internet and something else, I can't remember, my boyfriend pays for, and then I pay for water and trash. Also, in this case, I have a huge cleaning expense, and that is because there's actually a dollar store that was going out of business down the road from us, and they had like a huge, like 50 to 60% off of everything in the store because it all had to get liquidated. And so I just got a ton of like cleaning supplies, miscellaneous stuff for the house. So that seems like a lot all in one month, but that's because I haven't really bought a lot of cleaning supplies in a while. And these were all things that we're going to be able to use for months and months to come. So, but anyway, so $886 total, which is way outside of what my goal is right now. But again, that's because I haven't really adjusted any of these. I need to like get that figured out eventually here, or I honestly might just wait till the end of the year. I don't know. I'm getting a little tired of dealing with this, to be honest. I'm usually so excited about tracking everything and all of my finances and stuff, and then the past few months with me being sick, and I've just been so tired, and like, so it's been so frustrating, and like a lot of the things have not been going to plan, and I honestly have really felt like I just wanted to like bury my head in the sand. But that is also a great point for me to remind you that that's not going to help anything. So as much as I honestly don't want to deal with this right now, like I really have no desire to be in this spreadsheet. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. That's not going to get me back on track. That's not going to allow me to be successful in my future. That's not going to allow me to reach my goals. So I get it. It sucks sometimes, but we persevere, okay? Because our future selves will thank us. Okay, moving on to food. I spent $1 bajillion on groceries this month, and I actually have no idea how or why. I was going through my stuff and I was like, why and how did I spend so much money? I mean, I was cooking at home a ton, but I still have no idea how I spent like $300 some more than I normally do. We're having like a major come to Jesus moment in October regarding the grocery bill, because I have no idea what I did there. Restaurants, right on the money, $85 actual and an $85 goal. Coffee, I did spend $20 on, I actually bought coffee, like this is coffee packets. Yes, coffee packets, or not coffee packets, coffee, what are words? Like coffee grounds, but like packages of coffee. Oh my God. All right. So that's how much I spent on that. And so this is $20, but I will probably get quite a few uses out of that. So that's good. And then alcohol, $59. That is partly, from pretty much just like one trip. I did a restock for our bar that we have at home here. And so that was like 2 bottles of liquor, I think, or no, a bottle of wine and whatever. Nothing crazy, but definitely more than I normally spend. I just haven't spent that much money on alcohol in a while. So there you go. All in all, significantly over budget though. So like I said, I need to actually really get it together in October. Okay, this month we have a travel situation happening. This is $374, and this was for my best friend's wedding. And I had to stay at the hotel for 2 nights, like for after the rehearsal and then all the next morning and then after the wedding itself. So it was kind of an expensive hotel, but it was a very nice hotel. It was lovely, but that was $374 that I would have loved to have not spent. But again, what are you gonna do? I knew that was coming. I've known about the wedding for over a year, so it is what it is. Transportation, easy peasy, $83 on gas, bing, bang, boom, we're gone, way under budget, love to see it. Pets, didn't even have anything in the budget because my boyfriend bought her food and litter, so didn't have to pay anything there. Wellness category, I did spend $74 in medicine this month, so I don't know if I mentioned this video or not. I am dealing with a sinus infection and an upper respiratory infection right now. And so that was like different medicine and antibiotics and all that fun stuff. Donations and giving, I spent 104 of my $100 goal. That was for my mom's birthday. Moving on to debt payments. So here is something weird that happened, and I actually don't know how or why this happened. The student loan situation, I have my money coming out like by itself on auto, but I somehow accidentally paid like a random amount more, and I don't really know how I did it, but I was fiddling around in there because I was looking to see if there were any options for like changing how much I pay per month, because I started freaking out because I had no income. But I don't know how I ended up doing that, but I ended up paying like an extra $250 or something that I was not supposed to, but whatever, I guess, yay, debt pay down. And then you'll see I added a nice new line item in the debt payments, which is medical bills. And currently I have a $185 auto pay payment plan set up for my medical bill. This medical bill in particular is like almost $4,000. Love it. Lord knows when I'll pay that off, but whatever. At least I'm on a payment plan and it's not like $4,000 out of pocket like today. Personal care items, $280 this month. That is because this included all of my stuff for my wedding that I was in. So that was like the hair, the makeup, nail stuff, like all of that. Unfortunately is like $1 bajillion. So $280 of the $15 I was supposed to spend. Sorry, my battery died. Okay. So moving on to the entertainment section. I spent $81 on subscriptions. I did have an annual subscription for one of the apps on my phone renew, which is why that was higher than usual. Tickets and experiences, $68, and content creation was $39. I'm trying to get that down as much as I can as well. Those are just like for other like little apps and stuff that I pay for editing and that kind of thing. But again, we're trying to cut wherever we can. And then finally, miscellaneous, $70 to get a real ID, which is stupid. Basically you just get a star on your license instead of not having a star on your license, but whatever. I have been meaning to get that forever because you can't fly domestic US flights anymore unless you have this real ID. So again, it is what it is. Adulting at its finest, just taking my money for no reason. So total spent this month is $3,595. Way too much money, way over budget, and income was way below what it should be. So you can probably assume I'm not like feeling the most optimistic. Another thing that makes me feel very not optimistic is looking at my saving and investing this month. A lot of blank spaces there, you know? Not loving to see that, but again, very obviously when I spent 3 times what I made this month, that is just not an option. Another quick note, there is an irregular expenses section of my wealth planner that I finally used to show that I took money out of my savings. So I did choose to exclude this from my budget. So it's not shown like in the budget, like towards the end of the year or whatever. So it doesn't like impact my averages and stuff, but I put out of work living expenses. So I was off from most work for like almost 2 months. And so I had to take $4,500 out of my emergency fund in order to pay like my credit card bills and all of my utilities and all of that kind of stuff. So that sucked a lot, but again, need to reiterate, I am so grateful for having an emergency fund. It made things so much less stressful. So good job, pass me. And just another visual of my failure. Looking at what has happened to the amount saved and invested. Things were going so well until spring, and then June, July, August, September, just getting worse and worse and worse. It's so disheartening to look at, but at the same time, I'm choosing to use this as motivation, and I am feeling grateful that I'm feeling better, and I'm going to try to be as responsible as I possibly can over the next few months to see how much of this I can possibly recuperate, and if I can somehow scrounge up $10,000 to save in order to hit my goal. So that is it for this month's recap. It's been a wild ride, y'all. It really has. I can't express how excited I am to hopefully be back to normal, or what I hope to be my normal. I feel like I've just been like, I've been getting kicked while while I'm down, you know, the past couple months is what it's felt like. It's just been like one thing after another thing after another thing. And all of these things that I didn't plan for, and having to bob and weave and adapt to everything. It's been a lot, but like I said, we persevere, you know, it'll be fine. And I am looking forward to creating more content this month and throughout the rest of the year. I have missed doing this, and so if you want to see anything in particular from me or are interested in anything particular, I read every single comment that I get. So please let me know if there's anything that you would like to see from this channel over the next couple of months. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.